One of the problems in Africa is the tendency of African leaders to overstay in power. The people are getting restless because we have a crop of leaders who think that they are demigods. And I'm one who will support the people when they rise against these demigods who suffer from the Martyr complex and the Jehovah complex. The conduct of Alpha Condé. There is a history of soldiers who have saved their countries.
Prof, you mentioned in passing the issue of coups that we see happening throughout the continent. Sometimes they want to call it a mutiny. Sometimes they want to call it a coup that is not a coup. You also mentioned the Arab, uprisings. It seems this is slowly becoming our solution to our current problems. What are your comments on this kind of culture?
Not at all. If you look at the recent history of Africa, there are no coups. I mean, if you compare, and permit me to do this, if you look at the history of Africa immediately after independence, you will see that there were very many coups, quite a number of them which were instigated from outside. Look at the first, what one may describe as the first coup in 1961, barely 9 months after the Democratic Republic of Congo regained her independence. Patrice Emery Lumumba was removed from power and assassinated. And remember that Patrice Emery had actually invited the UN, and he was done in by the Belgians and the Americans. Then 2 years later, Sylvanus Olympio was removed. And we had a series of these coup d'etats. 1966, the removal of Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah. 1967, we saw the removal of Nnamdi Azikiwe and Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. Then we see the removal of Modibo Keita in Mali. And we have a series of coups. You then have in Congo, we have coups in Togo, we have attempted coups in Guinea Conakry, although they did not remove that time Ahmed Sékou Touré. We see in the Gambia an attempt, in fact, successful coup to remove Daouda Kairaba Jawara. You come to in 1960s, there are mutinies in all East African countries. There is a mutiny in Kenya, mutiny in Uganda, mutiny in Tanzania. Of course, they don't succeed in Tanzania, but you see the removal of Obote in Uganda, and then you go to the Sudan, you see the coup, the removal in 1974 of Haile Selassie, and ultimately the removal of the Deg regime and the emerging of the guerrilla movements of Meles Zenawi and Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and post-genocide of Paul Kagame. But if you look at the situation post-1989, and there is the African Charter on Democracy and Governance, which was designed, I think it was in Eswatini that this was made, that we will not allow coup d'etats or unconstitutional means as the basis of changing government. But there is a sense in which the leaders that emerged post-Berlin Wall, post-1989, some of them started misconducting themselves. And let's go to the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring starts very innocently. A young boy who is a graduate, has no opportunities. He immolates himself, and there is a sweep of activities. Egypt, Hosni Mubarak is gone. We come to Tunisia, the leadership is removed out there. Of course, they don't succeed with Bouteflika in Algeria. Muammar al-Gaddafi is gone, and Libya has never been the same again. But let us look at the conduct of the leaders post that era. Look at the conduct of al-Sisi. He's become a dictator in the same way that Hosni Mubarak was. Look at people like the now removed Omar el-Bashir. You go to Burkina Faso after they assassinated Thomas Sankara and the behavior of Blaise Compaoré, who himself is then removed. And you go to Cote d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara, removes Bagbo, but see his conduct now. And you go to Guinea Conakry and the conduct of Alpha Condé, and go to Guinea, rather to Gabon, the conduct of Bongo Ondimba. You go to Equatorial Guinea, you see how the Ngwemas are behaving. And you go to Central African Republic, you see the conduct of Bozize. You go to Eritrea, you see the conduct of Isaias Afwerki. So, and I don't have the time to go through each one of the countries. So those examples suffice. So there is an emergence of leaders who do not want to leave power. So that when you see the people expelling Blaise Compaoré, it is the people rising. When you see the people removing Abubakar Keita, they were in the streets for 1 month. So what the soldiers did is to run away from Keita and to join the people. That's why I don't call it a coup d'etat. You go to Zimbabwe, is the people had risen against Mugabe, and the soldiers simply came and concluded the thing. So this is happening because we have this emerging crop of leaders, and there are quite a number of them. I've already mentioned people like Ondimba. If you go to Nasing de Eyadema, Fore Eyadema in Togo, or I've already mentioned Alpha Condé, Alison Ouattara, and that kind of leaders, then you've got the people rise. And I think I love the opening words of the American Declaration of Independence, which I'll repeat only a portion of it, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it's for this reason that governments are instituted amongst men, deriving their just power from the people. And if they don't use that power properly, it is the duty of the people to overthrow such a government and to institute another one. So the right of the people to change a government is always there. And there is this assumption, I don't support coup d'etats. I believe that soldiers belong to the barracks. But soldiers are also citizens. And to expect that they are going to be neutral, even when pain is being visited against the people, is to delude oneself. So if you want soldiers to remain in the barracks, the civilians must conduct themselves. And there is a history of soldiers who have saved their countries. Ask the Ghanaians. Coup d'etats were as frequent as breakfast in Ghana before Jerry Rawlings came in. In Nigeria, coup d'etats were as frequent as breakfast before Olusegun Obasanjo came in and stabilized. In Rwanda, before the advent of Paul Kagame and the RPF, it was the same thing. In Uganda, you saw that with the advent of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. In Ethiopia, before the advent of Meles Zenawi. So there is a sense in which one cannot do what these Westerners are telling us, that this is the way to conduct yourself. And you know now, as I speak to you, there is a crisis in Belarus, inside of Europe. So there is a sense in which it is not true that coup d'etats are there. The people are getting restless because we have a crop of leaders who think that they are demigods. And I'm one who will support the people when they rise against these demigods who suffer from the martyr complex and the Jehovah complex.